Compound interest is one of the most powerful tools to grow your wealth, but it can also be your worst financial enemy when it's used against you. Have you ever been curious how this specifically works and why it's so important? Now, whether you're building savings, planning for retirement, or ever just wondered how you might be getting screwed, understanding compound interest is an absolute must. But let me first explain what compound interest is.
Compound interest.
Compounding.
Compound over time.
It's when your investment earns interest, and then that interest starts to earn interest too, creating a snowball effect. Imagine a snowball rolling down a hill. Now, it's going to start small, but as it picks up more snow, which is your interest earned, it grows bigger and faster, gaining momentum and mass. The same happens with your money. Let me give you an example using real numbers. Let's say you start investing $200 a month at the age of 25 into an account that earns an 8% annual interest. By the time you're 65, you would have over $700,000, even though you only contributed $96,000 out of your pocket. That is the magic of compound interest working in your favor, turning small, consistent investments into serious account balances. But now on the other side of the coin, lenders, like credit card companies, also use this concept, only in reverse. Basically, they're weaponizing it against you because when you pay only the minimum balance, your debt snowballs, growing larger over time due to that same compound-like effect. This is why understanding what compound interest is and how it works is super important, not just as a strategy to grow wealth, but to avoid falling into serious debt. So as an example here, say you put $5,000 expense on your credit card, which has an annual interest rate of 20%, which is kind of low for a lot of cards. But if you only pay the minimum payment of like $100, it could take you over 8 years to pay off that balance, and you would end up paying over $3,000 just in interest. That's 60% of the total amount you borrowed in the first place. That is the snowball effect working against you, turning what seems like a manageable debt into a super expensive burden. And what's kind of really dirty about it is the practice they use here of the minimum payment being less than it should be is called an anchoring effect, where the minimum payment amount psychologically serves as a reference point. And that leads many people to pay only that amount, even though they can afford more. The reasons they do this is to maximize interest revenue over time. Because as we've learned, right, the longer the interest is in the account, the more interest that interest makes and generates more profits for the company. So now that you have an understanding of what it is, if you choose to put it to work for you, are there any downsides? Well, it depends on what you consider a downside. If you're impatient, that could be a downside because most good things take time. Compounding interest is no different. The key is you really need time on your side to experience the full benefits of compounding interest. The longer you let your money grow, the more it compounds, and it essentially creates exponential wealth, right? So remember the snowball example we had in the beginning. It starts small. So the longer the hill it has to roll down, the more mass it's going to accumulate and the faster it's going to grow. That just doesn't happen overnight. But if you change how you view this or how you want to look at it, it can actually be a great motivator to build discipline and better savings habits. Now, what I do for my savings is I found a high yield savings account and I literally set it and forget it. I let literally time do the heavy lifting for me. The discipline comes in not withdrawing your money too early because that can cut the magic of compounding interest short. And you never really want to do that. But if you don't have a ton of savings to start, find a monthly dollar amount that you can invest. Even if it's as little as $25 a month, it can really be impactful over time. And if you don't want to just put it in a savings account or you're interested in taking more risk, you can always make low monthly contributions in the stock market as well and take advantage of dollar cost averaging strategy. And this is where you make regular contributions to your investments over time, which helps you avoid the risk of investing a lump sum at the wrong time so you're not buying it like the peak of the market, for example. Think of compounding interest and dollar cost averaging as like peanut butter and jelly. They're absolutely perfect together. I hope this is obvious by this point in the video, but reinvest your earnings. Remember, you can't earn interest on money that you've withdrawn, so keep it in and watch it grow. The last point on this, and this is especially true if you're investing in the market, is to avoid investment vehicles with high fees. High fees are like termites. They may seem small, but over time, they really will eat into your returns. And look, to wrap it, I would say compounding interest matters so much because for most people with little or no savings, it can turn small, consistent investments into substantial savings over time. It's for everyone. It's for the rich, it's for the poor, and it's one of the most powerful tools for building wealth and planning for retirement. But as we mentioned, you also have to be careful because when used against you, compounding interest can literally be absolutely devastating. Now, this video is not meant to be financial advice, but the key takeaway here is if you want compounding interest to work for you, start now, stay consistent, and think long-term. And if you're interested on how I set up my account on the SoFi app to make small investments into the S&P 500 ETF fund, click the link above, and thanks for watching.